story. This was, of course, earlier on this year when Jim Ratcliffe, he's knighted for his services to whatever he does, the owner of Ineos, who produce chemicals and so on, 4.2 billion they want to try and buy out Chelsea for. Of course, that was rejected out of hand. The next situation, of course, now he is looking to buy Manchester United, and there has been some pushback from some parts of the media. Can I start with you on this? From what we know of this guy, his business practices have been fairly suspect at times. In this, absolutely brilliant. I mean, I can't say it's not a takedown piece. It was very, very good by Andy Dunn. And as he said, that this is a man who once threatened to shut down a Scottish petrochemicals plant. He's going to put out over 1,000 jobs at risk unless the trade union agreed to job cuts, a wage freeze, harsher redundancy terms, and a scrapping of a final salary pension scheme. That was one thing. He's very like a Mr. Robert Maxwell. You can Google that, folks. Keane, is this the kind of guy that Manchester United, the fans, are going to be singing for?
They probably will if the finances are the right way and things can improve, because as we've probably noticed, supporters and morality at the moment don't knit together. Not the whole lot. I'm sure a certain amount of all of the different clubs that have been taken over in recent years, there's a little bit of morality, but it's very, very difficult at the moment. I don't think, even though what you've said there is extremely difficult to hear, I don't think if he was to take the club over from the Glazers, I don't think the supporters would be too upset. I think they'd be just overly concerned with the football side of things.
So would you agree on that? Because you, I didn't see it, but in our private chat, you put it about the house of Maxwell and Maxwell, because immediately, as soon as I saw that, I have no time for the man whatsoever. He's been involved in so many dirty things. He's a good businessman, of course. He is a very good businessman. He gets some strange kind of investors, but I wouldn't want him next in your club.
To me, it's one of these things where, the way and obviously his investing across sports has been quite prolific in terms of what he has done. Ineos are obviously synonymous with a number of sports, and more recently we've seen them cropping up on the rugby fields of the Southern Hemisphere, and obviously with cycling. But it's almost a case of, I want to own a football club. The one I want to own was probably Chelsea, because that's the one you went for first, or it was just the one that was for sale, because he's since said, I think, that he's a Man United fan. But it's a case of, you want to own a football club. Great. Ryan Reynolds bought one further down the league. Maybe start there and work up. Don't start with the team that are in disarray and that have that huge profile. But obviously, if you're that kind of person, it reminds me of the dynamic. The reason I said Maxwell, the dynamic between Robert Maxwell and Rupert Murdoch, where someone wants to get something and they don't care about the actual needs that club has. Man United fans will welcome anyone with open arms. I'd say Steve Ashley, if he was to rock up right now, they'd be like, come on in, Steve, we'll take you in. Welcome to Sports Direct.
Mike Ashley,
sorry. Yeah.
Well, you might as well call him Steve, because they call him an awful lot worse up in Newcastle.
My mind is distracted with it, but it is. There is also the fear is, like, if United don't sell, if the Glazers stay involved and just decide to get some cash in elsewhere, what position? Like, United fans saying we're going to have demands of the new owners. No, you're not. No, you're not.
Listen, Esau, you've nailed it. I mean, this is a lesson to all football fans who have worked within clubs, and I've talked to people, with owners, with the top committee members, if they're society-owned clubs or community-owned clubs. They don't care. They want to win on the field or not lose. They want to keep the fans on side, but ultimately they don't give. As long as you put your money in, they don't care. Even in Germany, don't cod yourself. They do not care. It's just money and results and success. I do worry about it, but at the same time, Man United fans, they had the chance before. Rupert Murdoch was buying the club before, kind of like Maxwell, the evil side of Maxwell, the evil emperor. He was buying the club. He was pushed out because of dodgy, his holdings in the broadcast contracts with Sky, B. But at the same time, United fans, many of them did walk away. They founded FC United of Manchester. United fans, when I remember the time when they were protesting the Glazers taking it over, they could have just not gone in. We saw the Liverpool fans when they were protesting their old owners because the owners weren't, doing enough to get them to win. When new owners come in, they're all happy. They don't care where the money comes from. They do not care. And why should they? Because they know that it's a two-way street. They just don't give a damn each other. Keane, on this, will the deal go through? Will it be a payday for United?
I think so. I think the Glazers are probably going to be in a situation where they're going to be forced into probably selling the club. I know that's a very strange thing to say, but I think they'll end up in a situation where they will end up having to sell, and it more than likely at this stage will probably be Jim Ratcliffe that may take over the club. He has a lot of work to do if he does take on the club. A lot of work to do. They're talking about the training ground. They're talking about the stadium, updating both. And I'm sure the issues on the field as well are massive. Everyone seems to think that Manchester United are still the force that they were when I was a child. They're certainly not the force they were when I was a kid. They're going backwards. As an Arsenal supporter, I'm quite pleased to see them going backwards at a rate of knots, because I've had to spend the best part of 20 years watching Arsenal thinking fourth place was a trophy. So it's definitely something that's going to take a long time to fix. It's not going to be fixed in the next couple of years. It's probably going to take 10 years to fix the issues that Manchester United find themselves in recent times.
Iseult is going to cry because, of course, fourth place is a dream for her as a Spurs supporter. Iseult, are the Glazers going to sell, and is the man to buy the club, Mr. Ratcliffe? Mr.
Ratcliffe has, to my mind, opened the bidding. In the sense that everyone's now interested, and if they give any sort of whiff of interest to him, then it's a case of how quickly other parties come to the table and how quickly the Glazers want to get rid. Are they going to hang around and see if there's going to be any advances on this? Because he made his offer for Chelsea and wasn't successful, so obviously it pushed the envelope, and other people were interested in coming in. Do I think the Glazers will be gone? I don't see the Glazers giving up their cash cow as easily. I think there will be a level of, even if they go to reduce their shareholding, I just can't see them going this season.
Yeah, they're not going to go quietly into the good night.
No.
There's a question coming in from Malta. No, the person sent this in as well. So a question for both of you. Very, very quick answer before we go out to a short break. Iseult, is there a good owner in football?
As a Spurs fan, not in the Premier League.
Okay.
Ryan Reynolds. He is a
Ryan Reynolds. Okay, that's because he's cute and Canadian.
Exactly.
Keane, is there a good owner in football?
No.
Jesus, okay, right.
They're all flawed, but some are more flawed than others.